Hi, you're with Scott. This is Ganji Kit, my stream. It's Mental Health Monday. It's 8 p.m. It's midnight. It's always midnight. It's 8 p.m. GMT. It's nearly 8 p.m. GMT. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear until we get the new computer with the big microphones all plugged in through the audio interface and all that, which is coming soon. It's coming soon. Not soon enough, but it's not on its way, like literally, but you know, we're working towards it. That's one of the goals that I haven't properly set on the things that I haven't properly, like Patreon. God bless you, you know, Puko blessos. I still haven't fixed all the rewards and system. Here we are with Mental Health Monday, and what we're doing today. First thing we always do before we get into all of what we're doing today, this number on screen, which I can point to with my fingers that go. It's reversed on the telly in front of me. How would you? Why is it so difficult? Right, that's my finger. I'm pointing. It's the opposite. So let's use the other one. There we go. Look, that's it. If you're in crisis, if you're at crisis point and you've come here 8 p.m. Mental Health Monday looking for solace, and here I am jiffling around trying to point my finger, you can call the Samaritans. That's a number for crisis hotline. It's also a good resource if you're feeling down or confused, you just want to give someone a call. That's the Samaritans there. That's a good resource. We can see that in big if I just switch to the web browser. There it is. The Samaritans. That's the old free phone number in the UK. And it's worth noting, I used to put UK in the title, but it's worth noting that if you are in the UK, this is going to be more pertinent to you today. We're going to be looking at mental health in schools, and the context is going to be the UK. So when we talk about government and things, we're generally going to be referencing the UK legislation and stuff. But I'm going to try and keep it general as well, so we can think about it in a more general context. It is worth noting that the consequence of mental health issues within schools, it's not just the obvious mental health consequence that we all know, like suicide, withdrawing personalities, things like that. It's also a dysfunction within a system, and it ripples out into the rest of the system. So as we'll see today, some of the ideas are aimed at the how should I put this? They're aimed at the preservation of the system, getting the best out of the school system, sometimes not necessarily, or in the past have not been necessarily aimed at the individual and the best course of action for them. So that's what we're looking at today, is school. So we've got these ideas here, got these things to look through. I've got my notes, haven't I? Where's my notes? Should I open that up? Got my little notes. So yeah, we'll start from the start then. Okay, this is the start. And we are rolling. Like, it is working. I'm almost amazed that it is working. Let me just, yeah. I can hear that, you can hear that. Got the websites up, you know. A few weeks ago, this wasn't the standard, was it, for me? I wasn't able just to flick that baby on and get it working. Well, you know, some things have been improving. Hopefully. Recommendations to government. What is this that we're looking at? Why am I looking at recommendations to government? This is a report by the National Children's Bureau. It's a 2015 report, so it's not the most modern report, but I thought it was a good place to start because it talks us through some really interesting aspects of what we're going to look at today. And also, it's dated, so we can look at if we improved in the last 5 years. Like, that's a good idea, isn't it? Sort of hoping to maybe hold some of the government to account. If you want to talk about anything in chat, feel free. Just chop. You can do your typing. It'll pop up and we can talk about it. If you've got your own issues, your own ideas, if you've got a story that, you know, something happened to you in school, if you want to, you know, throw some things in there, curveballs, that's fine. We can talk about them. We can talk about your feelings and thoughts. This can all be put on pause and rejoined again. And if I take too long trying to talk through all these different ideas, then we can do a part 2. Okay, so part 1, Wise Up. This is 5 years old. the four words here from the Chief Executive of Young Minds and the philanthropist supporter of Wise Up. So the person who's paid for this has basically said that growing up seems to be difficult, and they want to understand more about the online world, and that young people need new tools and more support. So they're the first place we're going to see this little snippet that you will probably see a few times, hopefully, throughout the course of this. An estimated 3 children in every classroom suffer from a diagnosable mental health problem, and we see it again, this statistic, as a 1 in 30, because our classrooms are usually about 30 children. Is that right? 3 children in every classroom, 1 in 30. That would be 90 people in the class, wouldn't it? Maybe I've got that wrong. We'll look later. But what I wanted to say, they pointed it out early, is that it's quite a lot. Like, if you've got a classroom of people, 3 children in the class suffer from a diagnosable mental health condition. So that's quite a lot, really. It's like every class in every school, you add all that up, it's quite a lot. And it means if you're a teacher, or if you're in charge of a class, or if you're, I used to do fencing coaching, and I got my, got my checks, you have to do a thing, the government, typey, make sure that you're not going to, do naughty things. Make sure you've not got a criminal record for doing naughty things, that sort of thing. I've got one of those checks. I've got my certificate for fencing coaching. So, in that context, thinking that, we had a group of about 60 kids in the room, thinking that maybe 3 to 6 of them might suffer from a mental health condition. It's an interesting concept, isn't it, that needs to be brought up. You don't know which ones that it is. You don't know who it is, but it's frequent enough for it to be in every situation all the time. The Chief Executive of Young Minds has said that the national focus on children and young people's mental health in recent years has been long overdue and welcome. This is in 2015. The new funds government have invested in this area have generated a wealth of activity and momentum. Now, I don't know what Sarah Brennan's political allegiances are, but actually over the last, I'm not going to bring up things, this is a different broadcast, would be to hold the government to account by bringing up lots of stats. But actually, the mental health service in our country is fabulously underinvested. It's fabulously under-resourced. They've got not enough stuff. They're not able to help all the people. It's the same in social services. They're going to pretend to you that COVID's made it difficult and all that. But they were elected recently on different ideas, not social health ideas, although that was raised as a big issue. We need to improve the social health. There were different ideas going on. They got elected for different reasons. But it's a problem in our country, in the UK, that we haven't got enough resources invested in mental health support for young people or for anyone. So that's just a fact. I don't really agree what Sarah Brennan said there about all that investment. But hey, she said it. So this is a 5-year-old executive summary, crisis in the classroom. So the crisis was 5 years ago. Have we improved on this crisis? Here are the stats. Look, 3 children in every classroom. We've said that. There's little numbers here, so you'll be able to find, this was a UN study in 2013, and the UK ranked 24th out of 29 countries for educational wellbeing. So you can find the little, I should give you the, I don't like to give you the link because you'll only look at it yourself. Oh, hello, look, chat. Hello, chat. There we go. I got distracted by using my computer. Hello. It's nice to see you. We'll go through them one by one quickly. I'm curious how it's working in the UK. This is a point I wanted to raise, 10% about mental health here in the, nice to see you all. So where are they putting their money? Don't ask me what I think of where Boris Johnson is putting the money. Don't ask me about that, because it's been proven recently through the coronavirus crisis. It was because of the coronavirus crisis, these things that usually go on behind closed doors were laying bare a little bit more. And it turns out they give their friends these lucrative contracts for things that their friends don't really have much business in. And they get paid like millions for doing like not particularly good jobs on these contracts. It's all just a bit of a mess, isn't it? And in context of the mental health in the American continent, I guess it's different all over, but in America I know that there are school shootings, and I wanted to take that seriously, but I'm not an expert in that area. Right? We don't have the guns in the UK. So I was saying that earlier, the consequence of mental health rippling out into the wider school community. In the UK, if someone's really, really disturbed through a mental health problem, they're less likely to go and shoot all the people in the school. In America, they've got more access to more guns, so they've got more, and the defence contractors, they make the guns. In the UK, we make guns and we sell them to other countries as well. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a little overview of why I'm going to sort of pitch this more towards the UK, because I've got UK figures, UK legislation to talk about. But yes, I absolutely think this is a global problem, and that different countries probably deal with it in different ways. And it might be interesting to go on and find out more about that, and maybe people can tell us. Yeah, we've got this cronyism, haven't we? The PPE contracts, yeah, exactly. And if they're doing that, I'll just finish on that point. If they are giving that PPE money to their friends and all that, and we can see that because of the COVID, what was happening before? What about all the other stuff that you don't see? Why do our ministers and government not have to have cameras and print their emails online? Why is it not transparent? We're going to talk about mental health in school. I'm going to really try hard to focus on this week. So I've got, like I said, I've got these different things that we've looked at. Like I've got this Public Health England inquiry. I've got other things to come into. So I've been doing a bit of research. Wanted to make it a good one for you this week. Wanted to make it interesting. And if I keep talking like I'm doing now, then I'm going to never get through this. Okay. 1 in 3 children, or 3 children in every classroom. It rises to 1 in 4 when we include emotional distress. And, maybe some of us find emotional distress, maybe it happens in school. Maybe school is the source of emotional distress, maybe. I wasn't going to go too deep into that maybe today, unless people want to bring in their, this happened to me at school, these are bad things. I think we all understand the general concepts, bullying, feeling isolated, not fitting in, finding pressure, exam pressure, those concepts, those mental health concepts, we all, I think, could recognise. But I think there might be something deeper as well that we want to look into. And so we'll talk about it all. Suicide is the most common cause of death for boys aged between 5 and 19, and the second most common for girls of that age. So that's incredible, isn't it? That's incredibly... until I started reading these things, we're talking about school kids. Some of you might be at school or college. Some of us might have been chewed through the system and spat out already. And I'm not bitter. When I taught in public schools, I spent a large amount of time after school counselling kids. They had nowhere to go. There's a problem, isn't it? Yeah. I absolutely think that it's not just a schools problem, it's a culture problem. And we're going to be looking at schools at the moment, but the wider culture, maybe we can come on to later and think about how it really does have an obligation to ensure that these kids are getting to school in a good state, and that school isn't the place that has to pick up and care for mental health. I mean, it's quite a burden, isn't it, to put on a teacher to say, oh, by the way, we also want you to be an expert in this and to spot this, to see that. And I think it's great that they do it, but also they should be supported in doing it, shouldn't they? Yeah. No training. that sounds quite like, yeah, that's the system. Throw them in at the deep end. These things come up, we'll deal with them later. But we've learned through Mental Health Monday, haven't we, that we're going to talk about these things and hopefully make a difference. That suicide statistic is far too big, isn't it? Something we want to address. Around 1 in every 12 young people deliberately self-harm. So now we're getting higher, 1 in every 12. So in your class, there's like a load of these kids, a load of young people doing this. Rates of depression and anxiety in teenagers have increased 70% in the last 25 years. So this is a 5-year-old study, but it's still, that's a big problem. This is the crisis. The number of young people calling Childline about mental health problems has risen by 36%. So maybe we should get Childline up. I should have done that. Free phone. It's a bit like the Samaritans, but for kids. Look, you can call 0800 1111. And we used to, oh, Mum, I'm going to call Childline. Don't use your parents. Don't threaten your parents with this. But if you've got issues and you're concerned and you're worried and you're a kid, if you're young, too much going on, you can call Childline. It's 0800 1111 and it's free. And you can do that from your mobile phone, which no doubt you have. The number of young people attending A&E because of psychiatric professional reading person. The number of young people attending A&E because of a psychiatric condition has more than doubled between 2011 and 2015. So that's bad. So basically we've got this bad problem 5 years ago, haven't we? Bad problem 5 years ago. We've got the role of schools next. Schools are a crucial environment, they say, for promoting emotional well-being and resilience. And resilience is a word that we haven't used on Mental Health Monday too much. Probably not ever, not yet. It's a bit of a heavy concept for young people, isn't it? Resilience. Should young people be resilient? Do they need to be resilient? Promoting emotional well-being, absolutely. Promoting resilience, yeah, I guess. Like, I remember as a kid, my dad tried to toughen me up at times. I don't know if it was the most well thought out mental health support strategy, or if it was just a sort of instinctive view on masculinity that was being taught to me. Schools are a universal service accessed all the time by children. They're basically saying, look, you've got the kids at the school, so if they've got mental health problems, what a great place to start because they're all there. But like I said earlier, I'm not sure that's completely right. I think that it's important that in school we teach well-being, we teach resilience. It's important that schools are able to recognise and support for mental health issues, but the schools are an educational facility. They're not a social health facility, and we need to build better social health facilities that can work in conjunction with schools to promote well-being, mental health, and to support teachers in that work. Because I don't know if it's a good idea, this support. Schools are a crucial environment for promoting well-being and resilience. Yes, you can't really argue with it, but the idea is we'll put the burden of responsibility onto the schools, and it doesn't really say we should be supporting them with separate institutions. So there's some stuff there about that. Policy and legislation, it said, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Policy and legislation, I'll look at that in a minute. School inspection, it talks about the curriculum, all this stuff. There's some stats. 82% of teachers said that focus on exams have become disproportionate. They want to rebalance the system, so it's more on the focus of well-being. Teachers would welcome greater recognition of the work that teachers do to support the well-being. So they're saying that there's a lot of pressure on kids to pass exams, and I'm going to paraphrase all of that stuff that we just skimmed through because I read it earlier. The teachers have got a lot of burden on them to try and get the kids to pass exams, and that's the main thing, get these kids passing the exams. That might even contribute to mental health issues, the pressure to pass exams, and the well-being of the students wasn't really a metric that was measured, and the work teachers did to help students feel good wasn't being measured or therefore rewarded. They'd like a change to the framework with greater focus on student well-being, and they would welcome duty on schools to promote well-being, which is interesting, isn't it? Most teachers would welcome a duty to promote well-being. I expect they wouldn't welcome it without funding and support, but I'm 50-50 on that. 92% of parents think that schools have a duty to support the well-being and mental health of students. So that's something to think about, isn't it? If the parents believe that the kids should be supported through their mental health through school, like that's the place it should happen, and 92% of them believe that, it's either because they don't see any other option, they don't have any other place to point at and say that's the place we're going here once a week because it's good for us mentally. They don't have that, like this Mental Health Monday. Wait, can you see me waving? I don't know, I'm not looking at my own face. There we go, now. You can see me waving. Just like this, they should have something, but they don't. And the parents believe that that's the responsibility of schools. So if that's their belief, maybe we have to take that on board, and maybe these institutions that we're going to build have to sit in or alongside schools. 70%, it's a statistic, 5-year-old statistic, 73% of parents would prefer to send their child to a school where they're generally happy, although previous exam results have not been good. So that's quite big as well. It's saying that parents are actually happier if their children are happy and don't do so well on the exams. And that's a 73%. That's a big number. More young people felt school cared about their grades than them being happy. I came through a school system which didn't just care about my grades more than my happiness, made it explicit that they cared about my grades more than my happiness. So I don't know about you. I don't know if you feel the same as that. Were grades important to you at school? Were they important to the school? And did you feel that your happiness was prioritised above your grades? That's an interesting question that I'm throwing out there on Mental Health Monday. Saying there we go. It's a cultural thing, isn't it? It's a cultural thing. It wasn't just my school. We're all in that together. We're all in that together. And even the teachers, it says here, even the teachers want a rebalance. They're not happy. 82% of them said that the focus on exams was disproportionate to the overall well-being of their students. That's 5 years ago. It's 5 years ago. Promoting well-being in schools, rebalancing the system, enshrining well-being as a fundamental priority for schools in legislation. So that's good, isn't it? The report basically says the government must take direct action to improve well-being provision. It basically says, I'm going to read it. You're going to listen. The government must take direct action to improve well-being provision in schools. The existing legislation that lays out the responsibilities on schools to promote the well-being and mental health of their pupils, it needs to be clarified and enhanced. A clear statutory duty that applies to all schools is necessary, they say, to drive transformative change and create the right balance between academic achievement and well-being. So schools have actually become too balanced on this exam pressure thing. They're too heavily pushing that thing. Everyone involved, the kids, the parents, I'm going to go big face, because this counts as a rant. We could turn on the browser again, yeah. Everyone involved, the kids, the parents, the teachers, all agree that schools have become too proportionally balanced exams and pressure, and they'd all be happier. 80% of teachers, 70% of parents, all be happier. I think 99% of kids happier if you went to a school that was more balanced on your well-being and how you feel and your emotional well-being than it was on your exams, to the fact that they would accept lower exam results and happier people. So that's the facts. That's because schools are getting ready for an exploitative workforce. Your well-being isn't the priority. I agree. Schools are traditionally, we've built this system from literally the people who own all the factories wanted better quality people in their factory. Oh, can you not train them a bit better? Like, way back in the day, that sort of business. We built this system now of academia and universities, and you can go and be in the science, and they're going to train you to be good at science. They're going to train you to be good at this. They're going to train you to be good at that. But quite often, I'm not at school at the moment, so I don't know. But quite often, in my experience, it was pointed at getting a job and fitting in and making sure that you don't, effectively get detentions in the wider world. There are detentions in the wider world, aren't there? Yeah. So the well-being is not the priority. But we're a modern world, aren't we? We're talking on the internet. You and I are communicating through this magic system, and we're really at a near tipping point, I feel, where the people in power that run all these systems can't really hold on to it in the way they used to, because just like we talked about earlier with the COVID, and we can see what they're doing a bit more now. We can find out, we got the information quick on the internet, and things are becoming more and more transparent, and maybe people are becoming more and more dissatisfied. Maybe. Certainly if the system is has an inbuilt mechanism which makes people depressed, suicidal, lash out amongst the community, then it needs addressing, because it is detrimental to that thing they even want, the workforce, and also society at large. So we can see this now, we can see it, and we can push for this change ourselves, I feel. Well, we have to, don't we? We have to, because if we don't, no one else is gonna. So we're just talking about it here as a little nucleus, as a little start point, aren't we? See where it goes. But yeah, I agree that they're not always thinking about your well-being, and it's not their priority, but it should be. So this is where our start point then is. We've said it needs to be a priority for schools. 5 years ago we're saying this. And there's more stuff on this thing. I've listed it in chat. They put recommendations to the government. Update the legislation. Ofsted, this is an inspection basically, should also include mental health. The government should develop and trial a wellbeing measurement framework by 2020. It is 2020, they have not. They should embed an understanding of well-being. It's not. Is it 2020 now, or is it 21? I survived 2020, didn't I? I survived it. I need to get a t-shirt that says, I survived COVID 2020, and all I got was this wonderful vaccine. I mean, I'm happy about the vaccine, but there were other things that went wrong. So I understand it's been difficult, but we haven't embedded an understanding of well-being and resilience in all teacher training. I doubt. I'm not an expert, so it is fair for people to critique what I'm saying here, because I don't know. I'm not in teacher training. I'm not at the Ofsted inspection offices. I'm just hoping and hearing and looking and researching. So the government should provide schools with designated funding. Yeah, that should definitely happen. So they put a load of references. It's an interesting document. That's 5 years ago. We'll bin that off now. Now you've seen that. Bye. How can schools promote positive mental health? So I thought this is interesting. They've advised that schools do this thing. They've advised them, you've got to do this better. You've got to do more on mental health. They've advised the government to promote that. And I just thought, how is it possible? Because I don't know, resilience, young people and resilience. So if you are a young person and you're watching today, these ideas are not just for your school, they're also for you. How can you deal with your own mental health? But we're looking at the wider context today. So this is what we've got here. Look, how can schools promote positive mental health? And this is on, and I can copy, I'm the only person that's allowed to put a link in chat. I'm the only person. We'll have to do a Discord, won't we? So you can put your links somewhere and I can see them and vet them, because who knows what could pop up in chat. But there's a link for what we're looking at. But don't you look at it, I'll read it out. Children's Mental Health Week was earlier this year. We missed that. And the idea this year, the concept was express yourself. So expressing yourself is good for your mental health. So that's a good start point. They've got their stats. Look, this is new now. This is bang on up to date. Have we done better? Have our stats improved? 75% of mental illness start before a child reaches their 18th birthday. 50% of mental health problems in adult life start before the age of 15. So they're happening within the school system. 75%, 50%. 10% of school children have a diagnosable mental illness. 10%. In a class of 30 students, 3 will have a mental health problem. So we haven't got any better there, unless this is an old statistic. They're not referencing them, so I'm guessing that might be updated. Please, if I'm wrong, you'll tell me on the internet. But we haven't got anywhere. Still the same, that is, still the same. 5 years since the report. 75% of young people with a mental health problem aren't receiving treatment. They're not even receiving treatment. So all this investment that we put into this system, all this money that's gone somewhere into helping children, they're not even receiving the treatment. I'm going to pause and do a big face on this, and it's a bit of a controversial one, so you'll love it. Me, controversial, with my Don't Wake the Bear t-shirt that was a gift bought for me by my lovely stepfather, my lovely stepdad, my mum's boyfriend of a long time, my mum's anyway, look, my lovely t-shirt, Don't Wake the Bear. We'll talk about that someday. I've got this thing to talk about with the young people receiving the treatment. So once upon a time, I live in a lovely, this is always true, not just once upon a time. Hey, kilobytes, don't you drop, I'm going to do a talking. So I live in a lovely town. I make no hiding it. I live in Stratford upon Avon. So, I'm on the internet, yeah. You don't know exactly which one my house is. Please don't come and do weird. Oops, I swore. Sorry for the swearing. But yeah, I live in a lovely town, Stratford upon Avon, and it's the sort of lovely town where people have got a lot of money and they've got some nice big houses and there's some nice, nice places, nice restaurants, that sort of stuff. And there's people that have got maybe a bit more money than sense sometimes. Quite often they're opening their businesses up, spending a lot of money opening their businesses in the town, and they don't last all that long, but the landlord takes the rent and keeps charging them for all the time. Well, you paid for the contract, you're going to keep paying. That sort of stuff goes on. The landlords are all quite rich. Where am I going with this? Right, there was a project set up about 10 years ago. I was working in town as a hairdresser. There was a project set up by a local lady who was really nice. I won't ever say anything against her in terms of she wasn't nice. She was really nice, yeah. But the truth is, and it's harsh to say it, she was absolutely clueless. And she set up a project for young people right? She was able, because of her niceness and her position in this town and her friends, she was able to raise like £80,000, like 80, probably more than that. She was able to rent out this huge premises at the top of one of the most busy pedestrian tourist spots. Like, this location is absolutely extortionate rent. It's really expensive for what it is. It's an old big barny sort of building, not Barney the dinosaur, like a barn. It's not the most up-to-date building on the block, basically. It's not the most, renovation-wise, fittings-wise, Wi-Fi-wise. It's not the most up-to-date building. It was an old village hall sort of thing, and they sometimes put on exhibitions there, like small fetes and fairs that can fit in a small room. So this building was up for grabs. She got all this money, all these sponsors, all these people to give her the money. August, and I was at the time working in my own shop in town, paying my own rent, so I knew all about the rent and the shops, and I was struggling to pay this rent. And I was thought, God damn, like all that money, that 80 grand, that would pay my rent for years, and I could just I could do so much with 80. I was struggling to do, something with 2 grand a month, and she's got 80 grand, and the things I could do with that money, the things I could do, and at the time, I was able to, maybe life has moved on a bit, at the time I was into at least the youth culture, like grime music and rap and DJing and decks. I've got my own set of decks. I could talk on a certain level. Maybe nowadays it's more Fortnite. Maybe I can still talk on that level. But the kids of the age, the things they were into, I at least could perceive them. I was dealing with customers every day, young people doing hair, cool hair, whatever. But this lady seemed unable, and she used this money to hire out this venue, which wasn't a particularly good venue for young people, wasn't particularly in a good place for young people, wasn't particularly attractive to young people, and she spent money making it less attractive. She gave it a cool... I'll talk about the fortnight in a minute, Nigel. I'll talk about it in a minute, if you want. I'll finish my little story, and then I'll tell you about my fortnight. I have got some photos and videos to show you, but they're not all correlated yet. So she got this money, she put it into this thing, and she gave it a cool street name, and she called it The Buzz. And no one these days says, "Oh, have you heard the buzz about town?" No one uses that colloquial terminology in our area. Young people talk more like this, man. They're into rapping and grime, innit, man, and the mandem. If you called the place mandem, it would have spoken to the young people, but she wouldn't understand what the word meant, because it would appear to her that I was talking in some sort of alien gibberish and being fat, and so I actually went to a meeting to support this project, to help, and I was like, I can do things. If you want my time, I'll give you my time. I've got my check to work with kids. I've got my certificate, so I'm absolutely all above board, and I'm a local business person just over there, so I can finish work, lock up, and come over here and do an hour or two, running the show if you want me to. I've got decks. I'm into drum and bass. I'm into garage. I've got an Xbox, what more do you want? And she was like, well, we're going to be getting a pool table put in, and I've got this person, and there was this, literally an old fella on a ladder putting vinyl records and sticking them on the wall, up on the wall, as decoration. And I thought, in a way, they've hit a nail on the head, because kids these days do understand vinyl. Sorry, they've missed it. It's now CD mixing, isn't it? The kids don't even understand vinyl in that context. But really, they were doing it from a sort of happy days, vibe. And the kids, when they opened this thing, bottom line, you hear what I'm saying. Bottom line, the kids didn't even come. It was made for the posh kids of her friends of friends at the tea party who are in the rowing club, and it was made for this fantasy version of a beautiful childhood that doesn't exist. That even those kids are out smoking behind the bike sheds. Trust me. And this place was not successful. The landlords got their money. The renovators got their money. The people who gave up their time to do things just gave it up for nothing, essentially. The kids didn't go. They didn't see any support. There was no Xboxes. There was no PlayStations. There was no FIFA competition. Scotty Hottie basically told them what he thought that they should be doing, and that they were missing the mark. And then, hands up, sorry, I can't be involved. I've got busy things to do, and if you're not going to follow my advice and listen to people who, I've got your best interests at heart, what can I do? But it was a real shame, because all that money, Like hundreds of thousands of pounds went down the toilet, and her and her friends didn't even get to play with it for very long, because if you can't pay the rent, you go down the toilet. If the kids aren't coming in, that was the other thing. They were going to make the money for this large establishment by selling snacks and like cakes. And like this old lady had baked a cake, and they were going to, and I was like, kids are going to go to McDonald's and get their burgers from McDonald's, and you are not going to be able to compete with a fast food chain on that aspect in the town centre. Like, you are not. And that sounded like I was kicking these old ladies in the shins, but really I was just being brutally honest in a business sense, because it was important they didn't waste their money, but they did waste their money. So going back to this, that was my big face rant, and I'll just apply it back to what's going on in what we're saying here, which is the current state of mental health in schools. 75% of young people aren't receiving treatment, and that's because the people who are given the money, the people with the resources maybe, are so out of touch. The mental health resources are so out of touch with the real day-to-day stresses of being a young adult that they can't even offer them the treatment, because they don't know what to offer them. They don't know about MCAT, do they? I shouldn't talk about that on stream. It's, I'm not promoting the use of drugs, obviously. I'm saying it's a negative thing. But, they don't know about the things that are causing these kids to commit suicide. And they don't even they don't give young people the respect. This is the problem. They don't give young people the respect. Oh, you don't get no respect. I'll go big face. Young people won't even know what I'm doing. I don't get no respect around here. I don't get no respect around here. That's a comedian that you will. He's gone. He's dead. You don't know who that is. Some people in chat know. Set up shop at the skate park. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you understand what a skate park is was a league ahead of these people, and is a league ahead of a lot of people involved, maybe not on the day-to-day grind of young people's mental health, but in the higher ups, the people with the money, the people dishing out the contracts. They don't understand at all. And I went big face for some reason then. Yeah, kids, that's what I was going to say, young people. If you're watching this, which some people will be, because it's going to be on Twitch, isn't it? And we get about 50, 60 views on this, so that's quite cool. If you're watching this and you are young and feeling, they don't, like, people do not have, where can I go for this help, for these, like, really serious life problems that I'm suffering? And I'm not going to name them all here on stream, because some of them might even have their own episode or whatever, but I don't want to just veer off into all these topics, but serious life problems that you're having, then you're not given the respect to you're not a grown-up. You haven't got these big problems like grown-ups have. You've got silly school problems. Do your homework and shut up. Like, you're not given the respect that your life is in your hands, and you're being forced through systems and wanting to go places and do things, and things are happening to you and by you and with you, and like, you're an active agent in this community, in this society. You're a real person. Like, you're a real person with all the full complex set of emotions, with all the pressures, like probably more pressures than the people in their 9-to-5 job who have got it all sorted now and know that the money's coming in on Friday as long as I turn up on a Monday. You've got more pressures, and you're not given the validity and the equal treatment, are you? So I think you should have it, and here I am telling you. So, will older folks understand online bullying? Exactly. These people that ran this cafe, and it was 10 years ago, fair enough, it was 10 years ago, so maybe thinking has moved on in my town since then, but they didn't even have the internet. So yeah, these are the pressures, online bullying, these sort of things. And that, I'm going to stop ranting. I'm going to say about my fortnight party, and then we'll go back to mental health, because I'll just reset my feelings, because I won't get too cross. Don't want to be too cross, but it is important to me. I care about it, and it's making me a little bit, so I want to try and do something about it if we can do a little something about it. And half the people are embarrassed about mental illness, so you don't have to feel embarrassed. I'm talking about it. We're all, I'm mad as a box. But seriously, I suffer from mental health illness, depression. I've had suicidal thoughts, self-harm, all that stuff. I've been young. I've been there. Oh, you don't feel like, it's an older person telling me they've been in it. I know what you mean. I'm not there now. You're doing it. I get it. But I'm not embarrassed to talk about it, nor should you be. Nor should you. So we'll get back to that in a second. I'll just tell you about my fortnight party. It's quite good. We had my sister did these props, like a drop. It was like I'm doing this. You can't see. There's nothing in my hand. but you can imagine a big yellow balloon. You know what a fortnight drop, if you don't know, well, anyway, that she made these things out of papier-mâché and hung them up around the garden, and that was quite effective. And then like little prop things like chili peppers and coconuts, and I'm wearing my hoodie from, you can tell who I was, can't you? Spray paint man. I'm down with the kids. Spray paint. Because of the COVID, we mainly stayed outside. Later on, they got a bit more shouty and loud and went inside with the lights and the disco. And that's the bit where I sort of bail, because I don't drink. I'm like not going to stay up till 2 a.m. shouting in the kitchen. So I'd sort of leave. But, because of the COVID and being outside and stuff like that, we all took a test as well, which is good. So we knew we didn't have it. But it was a bit more chilled in that aspect. We did a shooting the Nerf gun at things. Kev's young lad, actually I shouldn't say people's names on the internet really, should I? But our friend, he was there, and his young lad was there, and obviously his young lad likes Fortnite, so there was a lot of Fortnite fun involved for that. Overall good. It was nice to get out for a bit. But nice to get home as well, to be honest. And then at 11 o'clock when I did get home, the chuffing rain was chuffing it down. And of course, the dog had been with us at the party the whole time. He'd had a walk in the woods earlier, and he'd been running around and having fun at the party. But I just thought, oh, darn, he hasn't been for his last walk. He doesn't like to do his little business in our garden. He won't do a poop in the garden. You have to take him for a walk, or he'd try and hold it. So, I was dressed as Fortnite Man, wasn't I? So I had to go for a walk with the dog in the piddling rain, dressed as Fortnite Man. And if anyone, I don't know what the neighbours thought. I had the spray paint sprayed all over my clothes, and I was wearing the clothes, and so I had to go picking up dog poo dressed as Fortnite Man. But it was good. So, and it was good for mental health, just to see people and talk to them. And what was really good was we all did one of those instant COVID tests, which I know are not perfect, but it gave me a feeling of much more relaxation. I could chill a bit more, not thinking that every third person that I see might potentially touch this and I might get that. Just chill a bit more, because the COVID is going off in our country again, isn't it? Do we have mentorship programs in the UK, like Big Brothers and Big Sisters in the States? I imagine there are. You see, again, I'm not an expert at all of the things on offer for young people. I just know that there are not enough of them. But I imagine there could be systems like that. There could be. It's really difficult in today's day and age, isn't it? Because the pedos. Oh, did I say that? You can say that, can't you? That's not bad to say that on the old internet. But yeah, you'd worry about them, wouldn't you? You worry about all the bad people, the bad pedos. So you don't just want to have randomers in society just picking up the pieces. Although that's what we've got at the moment, in a way, isn't it? I would hope that we could, I bet the Big Sisters and Big Brothers are proper organisations that do, serious work, and I bet they've got their certificates as well. So I just don't know enough about it, but I could be could I be a great helpful? I mentor young people in our daily lives because I meet them like our friends' kids, and I treat them with respect. So I mentor them in that context. But I wonder about I'd love to have my own children. I've got only a few more years, in the next 5 years maybe. I need to meet somebody who wants to get pregnant as well. But I'd love to have my own children, and I'd definitely do a good job of it. But my one worry is my ability to be there without, I believe that when you're responsible 2 children, 4 children, when you're mentoring them, that sort of business, not business, when you're there in that role model capacity, I believe it's important to be there and to be accessible 100% of the time, to not ever have to say, oh, have you got a problem? Oh, well, I can't really speak about it today. You have to call me tomorrow. Or it's been great being your mentor, but I'm going to go off and live in Brazil for 6 months. Get on with it. I have to know that I'm committed 100% down the line, never going to, disappear. My great mentor, my fencing coach, he was at the school teaching, living in the area, built into the community. He wasn't going anywhere. That sort of security and position at the moment, I don't know if I have that even in my own life. So I worry about my ability to be consistent. That's the word, consistent in mentorship. But here on the internet, at least, thank Chuff, I've managed to make it consistent. if not, I want to do more, obviously, on all of our work and all of our stuff, but at least we're being consistent. Yeah. Kids need real people to listen, yeah. Yeah, they do. They certainly do. Let's switch back to the browser. So what we learned, though, through high-speed training, and this is high-speed training now, we're nearly at the peak of the hour, and I'm only not even halfway through. What we learned from high-speed training is that we haven't really got anywhere in 5 years. The recommendations were made 5 years ago, and we've not got anywhere. What are the issues affecting young people? Exam pressure, the modern technology. I love the way they're spelling it out here. I love the way they're spelling it out, because that's important. We've just discussed it, isn't it? It's hard to know. Look, they don't want to. Why are you not? Look, chat, naughty chat. No, no, I've just been blocked for naughty chat. But sperm and rod, they're both acceptable, allowed. We're going to allow both of those. I don't think sperm is going to be, it's a biological fact, isn't it? I don't think Twitch are going to shut us down for that. And Rod Stewart, maybe it just took it in context. Maybe it understood about context, but maybe it thought it was talking about something else. But Rod is acceptable. You see, look at Rod Stewart. I suppose that's true. But I want to be there for the enjoyable process of raising the child, and I want to devote my life to that. So, as I said, I don't want to sort of disappear. Yeah. There's things you can't control, I understand. So, I'm just going to roll with it. Rod Stewart. Squeezing out the nippers. These old swimmers. I can't adopt a child on my own with no permanent income and resource. I at least need a life partner, a team partner to help with the things. I need a sugar mommy. But I'm quite happy to do all the nappies, all the staying in, all the up at night, all the washing and the cleaning and the homework and all that business. But somebody else might need to bring in a bit of money and also get pregnant. Yeah. Anyway, look, the modern tech. I like the way they're listing these things. I like the way they're listing them, because we said it was hard for older people. Not old people, but a different generation who are not living in the same soup as the young people are today. It's difficult for us to see it through their eyes, so they're expelling it out. Exam pressure, we all understand that. That's big. The GCSEs, they've changed these things to be more tough and challenging. They're more stressed by the amount of information they need to know and the pressure to succeed. I guess even today's day and age, you can see the difference in potential success and failure more in the world, can't you? So most are fearful a poor grade will ruin their future. That's interesting, isn't it? So that's one of my catchphrases now. That's interesting, isn't it? But we saw that most parents were happy if their children got not so good grades, but were happier. We saw that was a fact. And the kids, the young people, are saying that they're worried poor grades will ruin their future because of all the pressure that's put on them. So we need to change that narrative. We need to make them understand that I didn't do very well in school and it didn't ruin my life. I ruined that in other ways, and school helped me ruin it. So I did quite well in school, actually. Me personally, I did actually do quite well in school. I just didn't do so well at uni. But by then it was actually, this is a good point, isn't it? By then it was way too late for me to adjust course and fix the problems that had become endemic through schooling and had been basically missed, because if you're getting at least the A to C grade, something must be going right. The modern technological world. Young people now spend much more time indoors online rather than outside. Hello. A game of football in the park has been replaced. Game of football in the park. When I was a lad, we used to play football down park. Now it's just pedos selling drugs down park. But honestly, the landscape has changed, hasn't it? That was a joke, but it's also true. Furthermore, young people are at a number of risks online as well, yeah, including exposure to upsetting content and cyberbullying. I tell you what, I saw so much... when you were growing up, do you remember this? I'll do a big face for this, you'll love this. When you were growing up, do you remember there were some things that were like urban myth, like gore videos or snuff films that every community would have had a story of a film so-and-so saw where this thing happened, but you wouldn't be able to see it unless you actually had the physical VHS. And you didn't have the internet, so you couldn't do any of that. It was just like ideas and concepts. And then occasionally something would get across, like there was a film called Brain Damage, was it? I'm not going to bring that up in pictures and show you, but gorge horror films that were designed to be extra shocky. They sort of snuck through the radar sometimes, and you would see this sort of extreme content. But in my experience, when I was young, the main access point to extreme content in this, we were talking about upsetting content before we talk about cyberbullying. Upsetting content, the main portal to upsetting content, there were two really. There was real life, where I was able to see upsetting things happening in my real life relatively regularly, and I think that's probably true of most young people these days. And not that you would, as an adult, understand that it doesn't have to be sort of brutal violence, but it can be the way you shout at your spouse, or do you know what I mean? Like there's levels in this, but that was true. But also my biggest portal was the movies, was the cinema, was the television. I was able to stay up late at night and watch horror films. I remember turning off The Shining, like scared. That's got to go off. I was exactly. Don't shout at your spouse. That's a good catchphrase, isn't it? Don't shout at. If you're shouting at people, it's already gone wrong. Look, the telly was my portal to upsetting content. It was also my portal to adult content, to trying to understand the world in adult ways, to receiving information that I couldn't process because I wasn't an adult, like adult jokes about sex things that I didn't understand, but I knew they were saying the words, and I knew it was a joke to people, but I didn't know what the things were. They were, that sort of thing. Scary films. I remember Poltergeist. I didn't want to go and stand in front of a mirror after watching Poltergeist 2. That was scary, and it was mainly scary because I was young, and the sophistication of the medium, is designed to scare, isn't it? Really. So I was able to access it so young. Nowadays, the stuff I've looked at on the internet, I mean, I don't know about whether young people access the stuff that I find easy to access on the internet, but I'm not going to promote these things either. But LiveLeak is a website that has more disturbing content. Obviously I've just said that now. If you're young and watching it, don't be like, oh, let's go and watch all the most horrible things on the internet. We're discussing that it makes it bad for your mental health. But at the end of the day, I'm not the only person on the internet. I'm not the portal of information on the internet. Young people have got access to so much stuff. It's on the Facebook, it's on the Twitch before it gets taken off, and it's through the churning mill. There's games to talk about, because even though I'm 100% in love with video games, think they have a method to enhance and support our daily lives in wonderful ways, even I can see that it's not healthy to see such hyper-violence, such easy access, I'm going to do this to these people and do that and I don't care, methodology of behaviour, this violent methodology. That Fortnite's a good example, isn't it? The simplest mechanic that kids can understand and enjoy. We're killing each other, we're shooting it, we're jumping, we're smashing. Even I can, I love video games, so don't think I'm denigrating video games on Twitch here, but I see that the content, the disturbing content, is all there, isn't it? It's all there in all this stuff. And I wonder, some of the stuff that I've seen on the internet, we haven't even got onto pornography. We're not even discussing pornography, but I'd be petrified to be a parent in this day and age. How on earth do you guide them with the internet invading their lives? I hear the worst stories from my friends with kids. There you go, yeah. I just googled LiveLeak. It shut down. It shut down last month. That's weird. I mean, it was essentially the bad YouTube, wasn't it? The bad YouTube. Things that might be socially important, but YouTube won't show them, and things that are just like, oh my days, like someone hurting themselves in a bad way, and things like that. Caught on CCTV, hit by car. I don't want to see that. Or I do, kind of, don't I? Do I? I don't know. I should not be on the internet this time of night. Good. I don't know if it's good that it got shut down, but there are websites. They're bad websites. People, the concept that I was talking about is this urban. If it wasn't YouTube, it still happened in our day and age. This urban myth, this worst thing. Have you seen this photo of this? Have you seen this video of this? Have you heard of this story of this? And being drawn to the upsetting content in a way, and then it playing through your psyche in a way. And I guess this is, when we go talking about the school shootings, which we're not going to do too much today, but wasn't there that one with Columbine where the culture, I'm not saying Marilyn Manson caused these people to kill people. I love death metal music myself. I love that sort of stuff as well. But, this layering of culture, of violence, of feeling of undervalue, of expression of it, of, you know, darkness taking over. Even not being tagged in a group photo is a crisis for a preteen girl. Yeah, like, you've got another layer there, haven't you? Like, you're actually on the internet. Oh my days! I'm thinking of what you see on the internet, but you yourself are on the internet, and your position on. Well, I should know about this because I'm on the internet, and my position of self-worth is thankfully not connected to the number of people that view or tweet or subscribe. I mean, I really want certain things to come across because I like the messages, the ideas. I think they're important, but honestly, my feeling of self-worth is not connected to my number of subscribers, thank God. Although I love that you're here. I love you being here, so don't think, oh well, you don't care. That's not the case. I do, and I'm not naive enough to say that if I suddenly got, you know, 200 new subscribers, I'm not going to go, oh wow, that's brilliant, because of course I am. But I'm able then to say, okay, it's not the be-all and end-all of the world, put it in balance. Whereas younger people maybe have less ability to see the big context and the balance. Gun worship, I've got all these problems, yeah. All these problems. I don't know why I switched to Big Face. It was good. It was worth it though, wasn't it? Okay, we're going to try. I'm going to try and get through. I've got these other websites to get onto. Look, the modern technological world, cyberbullying, trolling people. What an awful thing to do, trolling people. I've been the victim of that, so there we go. Wonderful. That will all affect their mental health, of course. Growing social media, we just touched on it then. It's a big mess, isn't it? I'm not going to even open that box. LGBTQ+. So this is important as well because we've got a much more open conversation about these issues, gender issues, you know, your feelings as they present themselves as you grow up and discover them. But the fact that it's a more open conversation doesn't necessarily fix the problems that people feel, the emotional problems, and they find it difficult to tell their friends and family, and it can lead to feelings of loneliness, isolation. So the fact that we're aware of these things more hasn't necessarily fixed it, but it's important that we're aware of them more. Good. Demands on young people, pressure of exams, but further responsibilities. So in a society that sort of perpetuates difficulties for people, having to work for lots of money, or for just the basic amount of money to pay lots of bills is what I mean, having to work for this money to pay the bills. Like my growing up, I was part of a single parent family where, you know, time was limited by resource, wasn't it? My mum had to spend her time earning money to pay for things for us kids, and all that stuff. All, you know, the stresses of the world. There are 700,000 young carers in the UK. I mean, I've been a carer. I know what that's like as a grown-up. But imagine being a young person and having to do that as well as school. 80% of this number miss out on childhood experiences, just generally. Yeah, easy. And then they put COVID-19 at the bottom there. Don't have to go through that, but obviously. So how can we do something about it? That's what I was supposed to be talking about for the last 40 minutes. Encourage social time, but not on the internet with 45-year-old men. Encourage social time. Schedule in 30 minutes an hour of a week where students can be social and focus on something other than the curriculum. So schedule an hour, like we do Mental Health Monday. You've got to have social time, but they have social time, don't they? They do playtime, don't they? They run around in the schoolyard and hit each other with tennis balls. No, I mean, like in classroom with your peers, complete a task together, like a difficult problem or challenge, and we're already thinking about those, you know, those things that they, you know, do in the, you know, when you work in an office and you have to go for the teacher training day and you have to all get together and do it, you know, build a bridge out of like chuffing straws or something. But that sort of stuff, you know, do social things together with them, encourage it, run lunchtime clubs. And this is, I mean, that's harsh, isn't it? High speed training. This is for teachers. This is teachers. I mean, run lunchtime. Yeah. If you're at school and you're a teacher and you haven't already got enough to do at lunchtime, run a club. I mean, I can't speak for teachers. I think somebody else should be in the school providing this resource. If these are things that need to be done, maybe they could have this, you know, extra, you know, facility, this mental health group, you know, core group of people in the school just running the lunchtime clubs for the mental health. But the sense of community helps children feel included. Brilliant. We've got community on the internet, haven't we? Have an open door policy. It's essential that students know they can come and talk about any issues and concerns. Yeah, we've got one of those here, and that's important too. But that's more general, isn't it? They should have training in mental health, it says. Make mental health known. Mental health is seen as a bit of a taboo subject, so talk about it. Invite charities such as Mind and Rethink into schools. That's a good idea. That is a good idea, isn't it? Inviting Mind and Rethink into the school, but maybe not just to give a talk, because it says here to give a talk and address the topic. Maybe not just to give a talk, maybe to do something more permanent, more regular, maybe. Organise a wellness week so you can encourage connections, host sports activities, give things to others like charity events, which is good, isn't it? Organising things to give to a charity might help people to feel better about themselves, self-esteem wise. Be mindful. Host mindfulness sessions and create a calming environment. I wonder if I'm making myself feel better about things by doing work for charities. I don't know. There is that concept of altruism. It's a big concept. It's basically the idea is that there's no such thing as altruism. I'll give you a big face for it, whatever. There's no such thing as helping people because you're always getting something out of it. There's always something you can get out of it. There's always something you can get out of it. But you didn't even have a planning period. Yeah, see, teachers don't have time to do these things. But it is true that you always get something out of helping people. But that's not the reason people help people. Like your good feeling, oh, that was nice, that the world is better. So, I'm actually selfish, aren't I? Because I'm doing it for me, for my good feeling. It's not, it's a byproduct. It's just good that there is a good feeling out of it. But sometimes I do things for other people and I don't always, get that. Sometimes it's a struggle, but I still do it because, duty maybe is a better word. So, do I do things to make people feel better, to make me feel better? I don't know. I think it's important. Anyway, I think it's important. And we're not going to go too much into that, but it's interesting to think about. Back to the web browser. Be mindful, host mindfulness sessions. So there's some ideas for the actual teachers. That's what we should be doing in schools. We should be encouraging more social time. We should be running clubs, have an open door policy. We need mental health support people or people who are trained in mental health. There's courses. We need to make mental health known, to talk about it, organise a wellness week. I think that Mind and Rethink, they've already got enough on their plate as well, but I think that the government should be providing resources, the money, to set up the institutions like a national health service, like the hospital, the school. It seems that we also need a infectious disease centre, obviously, in our multi-populous areas, one in each city. We also seem to need a wellness centre connected to a school with at least 3 staff that can deal with the wellness of pupils. That's what we need. Good. Yeah, I'm still here. Capital K. I'm still here. I ain't dead. I'm still coming every week here to sit and grind out the mental health support. But we are at a difficult month of trying to get on the internet for doing all the other stuff, and we are going to be back on the internet for doing more fun stuff as we finish the month strong, I'm sure. We all will die sometime, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. God, I need the rest. Anyway, look, can we promote mental health? I shouldn't have made a joke like that. We've seen what we're trying to do. We're going to bin that one off. That one's gone. Next, what's this? This is the most evidence-informed approaches and interventions identify within schools' behaviour. What? Schools were identifying pupils' needs by their disruptive behaviour. What? Most evidence-informed practice identified in this review related to behaviour management techniques. It suggests further advice, training and resources might be necessary to enable schools to more comprehensively understand the links between mental health and behaviour. What this is saying is that the schools are currently only dealing with mental health when it's a behaviour issue, because they're trying to deal with the grades like we saw earlier. The schools are currently, when someone has a behaviour issue, when they act up, when they've got a problem, it becomes an issue within the class because they can't learn to do their exams. So the schools deal with that. That's what's happening. What are we looking at? Where did this suddenly come from? Well, it's my next page, isn't it? It's my next window, look. And this is, in big letters, the Department for Education. Oh, that's posh. It's Rebecca Brown. She's done a report, a review of the policies and the information, because these are the things that we're looking to change. We've just seen what the policies need to be. And this is a report on what the policies actually are. It was 2018, it's the UK. So we have not made any progress. It's all here, look. It's all here. I read out the most important bit then. I had it lined up. But it's all here. It's huge. And I'm going to copy in. I'm the only one who can paste in chat. I'm the only one who can paste a link. Get used to it. When you get your special rewards, we'll find out wherever you people I trust posting. But until we know exactly. There it is. It's huge, this document. But the nuts and bolts of it are that they're not doing it properly in schools. They're not doing it. It's 2018. There's all this... Oh, there's loads of stats, equality, sex and relationships is important. We've had a big scandal in the UK recently about schools and sexual abuse and things like that, which I'm not going to bring up and bring all into, but historical and current. It's, you know, diversity, tolerance is talked about here. It's all important. There's some, you know, statistics and all that, but I've read out the most important bit, that the mental health aspect is, here it says, special schools all promote, 3 of the schools specialise in supporting pupils with complex emotions. So they say there that what they're talking about there is that schools that are designed for people with mental health problems in terms of disabilities, emotional needs, maybe ADHD, maybe, you know, autism, those sort of things, they do a really good job of dealing with the mental health problems. They're all right at it. But generally, and I've read out the main bit, they're not doing such a good job in schools, and it's because they're focused more on behaviour issues and not a holistic approach. Not a holistic, which means a whole body approach, you know, making sure that you feel good, you're happy in school, you generally, you know, all things are good, and that then ripples out to easier classes, basically. Pupils might be suffering with anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, still going on. Still got the statistics still going on. So I'm going to bin that one off quickly, but we looked at it. And then this, what's this? Parliamentary bills. So it turns out, oh, Scotty Big Face. You don't think I work on you, but you know, I'm working for your Patreon money. I'm doing the research. This is the parliamentary bills. This is schools' mental health and wellbeing bill. But what the chuff is it doing originating in the House of Lords? Now, I know things are different in America. What's happened here in the UK is that the government themselves have not got their heads together in 10 years. We saw from our very first report 5 years ago. It was 2015, 5 years, sorry, my apologies, 5 years. But we know this has been going on longer. Parliamentary procedure, so parliamentary procedure, what's that from? I saw that the other day on something. What's happened? Hang on, wait, what? The parliamentary procedure, it's a meme from something. It's a meme from Twitch, isn't it? I'm on Twitch. Look, what happened here is, in the UK, the government's supposed to start the bill, and like your MP, like my MP, is supposed to put it forward. Oh, I've got this idea, this thing we need to talk about. These are the ideas. We're going to improve mental health, like this, and this. Discuss, and like they put it forward as like a paper to the House of Commons. Like, these are my ideas. We think we should do them. And the House of Commons, they say, oh, I think they're good ideas, or they're not good ideas. Or change this. We'll put that in. A bit like how they make all the laws, isn't it? That's what they're up to. And then they pass that on to the House of Lords, who then eventually do some checking over and maybe yes, maybe no, and they pass that on to the Queen. But here, the Lords have originated it. So the Lords, not the government, not the people who have been voted in, not the Conservatives, but the Lords. So these are people who are peers for life, who it's like a separate House of Parliament, sits just above it, and you get into the House of Lords by being a politician for a certain amount of time. You end up getting, you know, your parliamentary group can give you the peer, you know, they can, the government can give you a peerage, or the Queen can do it. She can make you a special person to sit in the Lords, but you get this special, you know, status, and you can sit in there and throw some weight around. So they've done it. What have they done? When? How? Why? 2020, first reading. 2020. I mean, I knew this was 2020. I'm already agitated about their lax approach. But they're going to read through it. First reading, 14th of January. It's a formality that signals the start of the bill's journey through the Lords. The second reading, the actual debate, is yet to be rescheduled. It's yet to be scheduled, not even rescheduled, just scheduled. They haven't decided when they're going to talk about it. So, Parliament's going. Oh, it says 2019-2021 session of Parliament is prorogued and this bill will make no further progress. It says there. Prorogued, no further progress. Oh. What? No further progress? Didn't Boris Johnson prorogue Parliament? I don't know. I'm not such an expert. But we've had the first reading. And they say it might not even get through the Lords. The second reading is date to be announced. It's still scheduled. It says it's scheduled, but it's not scheduled. They just said they might do it. A bit like me and some of my stuff. But they haven't done it, have they? Look. No publications. So it's been advised. It looks like someone might have done something. But when you dig in and look a bit deeper, no one's actually doing anything. This is the bill itself. Where is it? Oh, that's it. I knew that was it. I read it earlier. I read it the other day. That's why I wanted to do this. It's only fucking 3. What does it say? The Secretary of State must, by regulations, require governing bodies to promote pupil mental health and prevention and support for mental ill health, and prevention and support for mental ill health for the purposes of subsection 5. Subsection 5. They just want to make an amendment to what's going on already to say that you've got to talk about mental health in schools. You've got to promote it. You've got to support it. You've got to make statements of policy in relation to it. You've got to promote the training. Promote it. It doesn't mean you actually do it. Promote it. Promote. Have regard to pupil mental health in joint work. Have regard. I mean, that sounds like it might even just be a legal term. Have regard to mean do nothing. That's it. That's what they spent their time. All the Lords. No, they've got some more amendments there. Comply with guidance. Wow. Makes you cross, doesn't it, that these really rich people with their peerages have got that much, that much to say about mental health in education out of 10 years, 10 years of. I mean, this is an amendment to 2002 Act and the Academies Act 2010. So we're looking at approximately 20 years. We've reviewed it, supposed to review it 5 years ago. We've had a look 5 years, down the line today, recently. Decided not to bother and decided that you only have to promote it and support it. It's not good enough. But that's where we're at. And as I've said multiple times in today's broadcast, I actually believe, lords and ladies or just lords, I think that you become a baroness if you're a female lord. I think it's a baroness. It definitely has its own title, and you're definitely not just a lord. You're some sort of, sex segregated version of a lord. I might be wrong. I can be educated. I'm open to being educated. But yeah, look, it's not good, is it, the corruption? It's not good. It's not good enough, in my opinion. It's not good enough that they have done that. We've seen today that what we actually need is more people, physical people, because the teachers are really busy. So you need physical people in schools promoting good mental health, given the time in the week to deal with individual concerns, group projects, to help engage with mental health support. These people need to be not just trained, but aware of what's going on. They can't be out of touch. They can't be, suggesting that woman at that big face, that lady at the cafe for the young people in our town wanted a jukebox. She thought she'd make some money through the jukebox. I was like, they've got iPods. They ain't gonna. What you need is an iPod dock that you can put your own, and even that now would be defunct, wouldn't it? Just stream the cloud, put Twitch on for them. Anyway, look, big face web browser. You need people who are going to understand these concerns of these young people, to be able to talk their language, to be able to see the problems as they emerge. And I'm talking about serious problems as well. I'm not just joking, messing around. I'm talking about sexual, what's the word, thing. I want to say deviance, because I've been thinking about sociology this last week, but when bad people do the nasty things to you, that sort of stuff. The fact that they're being sexualized or being forced into a sexual encounter younger in society, young people, because of the way this society is, and the pictures and the TikTok and the, stripping and the dancing and the sexy and the, all that business. You need someone who can understand like TikTok memes and understand the latest thing on the street that people are sniffling. Don't talk about that. Abuse, that's the word, abuse. Yeah, you need to understand abuses and where they're coming from and how to deal with them, because even the young people that are suffering them won't know exactly these answers. They'll be going through the mill. They'll be going through the system. So these people that need to be there to help them need to be able to recognise things and see it. They don't just need to, understand it, but they need to be able to call it out and spot it. And do you know what I mean? Not stripping. But yeah, it's a complex thing, and I don't think teachers it's not good enough for our Education Act, our amendments to the Education Act, to be like, oh, well, make teachers do a bit of it, make teachers do more, tell them to promote it. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Teaching mental health resilience to kids is something that I was really interested in. So we've done over an hour now, and I'm not going to read through these studies, but I have, just this one at the top, it looks like. But trust me, I'm on my phone reading these things as well, so I have read some of these, and there are some interesting ideas. They're all basically what we've talked about, really. They're sort of, having some time talking to people, that sort of stuff. This paper aims to present a framework for resilience education that can be used by teachers in schools. But again, I don't know if the teachers should be forced to take on this extra burden. But certainly they should be, they should also be aware, but be doing it in conjunction and support. And then there's like findings, methodology, practical. It's all there. It's a paper you can download. I'll give you the copy, because this was a good one, I think. Paste. No one's really going to need to read these, but the people who do need to read them, the information's there. And this is quite frustrating as well, because that was 2007, that one, and it was quite a good one. Things will have changed, the landscape will have changed, but people are studying this. 2014, look, improving adolescent mental health. People are studying it, so the information is out there. I'm able to find it. We're able to talk about it together, but the government aren't doing it. And it's not being done in schools. We've got more windows. I've got like a never-ending supply of windows. How many more have I got? This one and this one. I mean, we are doing it in schools. Look, this is Public Health England. This was 2014, and it talks about those things that we've talked about: resilience, health behaviours. It talks about it, but as we've said, this was already there, but yet we need to do more. We've got these statistics, so it can't be that, this paper from Public Health England has reached the right. Public Health England is separate from the government. They're funded by the government, but they're supposed to be, separate in terms of, bias or whatever. They're supposed to just tell the government what to do, give them good advice, so that the government can do good things. Schools have a key opportunity. This is where they got that language from, isn't it? Yeah. Interventions, literatures, resilience. It's big. What is resilience? We should talk about that, shouldn't we, on Mental Health Monday? I thought I might have gone to... My ability to speak is breaking down now, so I thought I might have done that chapter. Where is it? What is resilience? Resilience. So I will. Come on. This is a good bit at the end. It's important to cover it, because if young people are watching, then this is the bit they want to know. How do you be resilient? How do you teach it? What is it? Resilience is described as the capacity to bounce back from adverse experiences. And I wanted to highlight this. This is something I've got in my notes. Actually, I haven't looked at my notes for a little while, have I? Let me just check. Bear with me while I check on my notes. Look at my notes. Just make sure that I've Covered everything. What are we trying to achieve? I'm not a teacher. Teachers are dealing with a lot. A note on wider culture and the conversations. We did talk about wider culture, didn't we? We'll do my big face for a second to make sure I've got my notes out. I wonder if wider culture should take on some of this responsibility. Of course it does. We are doing it here. We are the culture, offering some lifelines to young people. So hold on and I'll tell you about resilience in a minute. Games do a lot, don't they? And I wondered if, big collaborative project games, maybe things like Fortnite, should be offering more along the lines of mental health support. And I know it sounds a bit stupid because kids aren't going to Fortnite for mental health support. In fact, they're getting mental health issues from playing Fortnite. And I know that Fortnite make a lot of money and they're there to make money and sell skins and, advertising space for your new film. But, maybe they could, the camera's battery's low, please charge the battery. You've got 20%, mate. 20%'s fine. Maybe they should, take a little bit of responsibility, take on a little bit of cultural responsibility. We'd all be happy that they were doing it. We'd think it was good that they were providing some sort of resource to talk about mental health issues, some stuff like that. Maybe someone like that, someone that has the eyes, that has the money, that has the resources, could, do a mental health campaign. Maybe I should petition Epic to do it. And I've also written here a note on the potential for schools to change. Yes, it is really possible that schools can learn these things that we're about to talk. Where's my pointy finger? I can't make my finger go the right direction. There. Schools might get to learn these things. There's certainly going to be, these conversations are going to be had through teachers training and all that business. I'm sure teachers are aware of this. I'm sure that teachers who watch what I'm talking about are going to feel like, oh, well, what's he going on about? This has been talked about. We know this is a problem, I'm sure of that, yeah. And they're going to be trying to fix it. I see, I'm doing it again. It's backwards on the telly. Just there. Hang on. There. Yeah, so I'm sure that the people are going to be trying to do that. But 20% battery, we've got to be on this now. I've got to be on this. I've got myself distracted. Resilience disease. Oh, that was what I was going to say on the big face. Some people do have a capacity to bounce back, don't they? Some people seem to be more resilient. Is it something learned? Is it innate? Is it something in your genetics? Is it something to do with the way your home life is? Is it the fact that resilience doesn't mean being tough and ignoring your feelings? You have to experience the thing and feel the things and acknowledge the things to become resilient. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I'm not an expert. I'm someone that maybe is a bit more vulnerable sometimes, that certainly feels vulnerable sometimes and feels this perpetual pressure and chipping away of things mentally through the barrage of societal ills. Yeah, I don't know if I understand fully about resilience, but of course, yeah, like you're saying, I do. Someone, Asmongold, isn't it? Asmongold said this the other day. It's not about how many times you get knocked down; it's about getting up again that one more time. So I understand about that. I'm pretty resilient to that. I had all the people, doing the old internet savagery on my old true binaural, didn't I? I had all the online bullying, so I've sort of felt that. Yeah, I felt that. And I'm not afraid to stand here and be vulnerable. Agreed. So yeah, I'm happy with that. But we need to teach these children how to be resilient, how to bounce back from adverse experiences and succeed despite adversity. Adversity, they define it there, I don't need to define it. Some research characterises resilient individuals as having average or expected outcomes. Others emphasise flourishing, doing better than average. In this paper we include both. They're talking about the definitions of resilience in this paper, you see. So the impact of the environment, the experiences and opportunities on people's resilience occurs through the development of either risk or protective factors. It's all very complicated. And that's what I've just been saying. Now, because I've read this side, there is no key answer. There's no one thing that you can say, this, eat carrots, you get more resilient. It's a complex thing and it's affected by all these other complex things. So it's difficult. And I think that people who are designed, the people who are going to put the responsibility of teaching resilience to young children, agreed, I'm going to, do my bit. I'm going to do my best through this. But it's a big complex thing. It's not a one-time, learn this lesson, how to kick the ball, how to hit the bats, how to, punch the face. Boxing. I was thinking about sports then. I was thinking about boxing, not violence. I'd do an internet boxing. I'd be happy to do that. I'd be happy to go for a Jake Paul. It'd be cathartic for me. But yeah, getting back to this, it's complex, and the people that are going to teach it need to understand the complexity. So I'm not going to pretend that I can teach it you right now. In fact, I think we're going to come back to it in Mental Health Monday and look at it in more complexity and detail, because 15% battery, dog walking half an hour, I think that's I think I've done a lot on this. I think I've built us up to a point where we have got a clear aim, improving resilience. But it's so complex and difficult that we need to give it its respect of its own episode. And this is place to be Children's Mental Health Week, which we missed, but chuff that. We can fight the adolescent mental health crisis by teaching resilience skills. So we've got this stupid, I've closed the window now, so I don't know what the statistic was, but this stupid suicide rate, this horrific suicide rate, they're looking happy. I'm not happy. That's too big face me. We've got this horrible suicide rate. We've got this 3 people in every classroom, 3 young people. You walk in the class, they're all sat there quietly doing their work. Some of them aren't, some of them are shouting. Maybe it's them. We've got the only way of identifying it at the moment through the system is the disruptive ones get the attention, but the quiet ones are out there, sitting there quietly in the in the room, not even in the corner, just in the room. You can't say which one it is. It might be this one feels bad about the way they look. It might be this one feels bad about the thing they said to that girl, or it might be this one feels bad about the fact that this boy feels like this, and it might be naive things that you feel things that you feel are naive that children go through. The boys don't. It might be something extremely serious, like this one's got a problem with drugs, or this one their single parent isn't able to help them through the day-to-day issues. It might be this one's caring for someone. Like 3 of these kids in that classroom are going to be feeling it, struggling with it. They're not even going to know how to express that they are. They're going to think it's normal, probably some of them. Until you grow up and get some more perspective, you just think life is as it is, isn't it? You just get on with it sometimes. So they need to experience disappointment and how to learn to get through those feelings, says me, the person without kids. But yeah, you need to feel things, but some kids are going through things that maybe we don't. It's not fair in life, is it? Some people don't have to feel the horrors that other people feel. Some of us, we all feel similar bad feelings as well. So it's weird, it's a bit spectrum. Some of us don't have some of the extreme problems. Some of us have more of them. But everyone at some point hits something on that spectrum at some point. We all get those feelings. And the big point to finish on today, with my web browser, is that we can fight this by teaching skills. So this is Dr. Anna-Laura Van Harmelen. I'm sorry, like many people who read names on the internet for a job now. I do my big face. At the party, I just did the wrong. We're not out of sync now. It doesn't matter, it'll be all right. At the fortnight party, one of my old friends was there. My old friend, you don't see them very often because of the old COVID. And they said, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Yeah, it's been difficult. I've not been able to get out and do much work. But I started streaming, and now I'm a professional streamer." And they said, "Oh, that's good." And we moved on to a different conversation. But whilst they talked about something else secretly inside, I was thinking, thanks to you. Thanks to Capital K, thanks to Nigel, thanks to Snips, thanks to the other contributors through chat, through YouTube, thanks to Tree, thanks to Carla, thanks to Nathan, who talked to me on Twitter today. Thanks to all of you. I'm not going to keep going making the list. I'm talking to you. You type your comment and I'm thinking about it and talking to you. Thanks to you and your contribution through the engagement, and of course thanks to patrons, I was able to secretly, after I said I'm a streamer and they carried on talking, I was able to go, I am as well, I am a streamer, I'm a dreamer. I'm a mental health and games as art, and talking about some cultural context, trying to build up a thing, trying to build up a bit of a head of steam, trying to develop something so that I can look back in a few years and say, hey, we did something there. We got a bit of something done. I made a list. I don't know what the chuff that is. Don't know what the chuff that is. The list. I made the list. I get paid like, woo! Chippy chips. Oh, we did resolve, that's another thing for the big face before we finish on my final point about these doctors and their work. We did resolve the issue with the government and them threatening me to... They were paying me carers allowance, which I no longer was due in common language. I no longer... I shouldn't be getting it. And I told them not to give it to me. I told them my nan had died and that my caring had stopped. I told them, and then they pressured me. Oh, we're giving you this money. What are you doing? We're going to have to take you to court tonight. There were all these problems. Well, it's all finally been resolved, and it turns out that they're not going to try and take the money away. So they're paying me more money because they were taking it. I'm on universal credit, which means I don't earn enough money to. They give me a little bit of help money, yeah. And they were taking it away. Well, now they're not. Okay, thank God they're not going to. So that has been a massive weight off my mind. The case has been resolved. Yes, they were in the wrong, and they just sort of said, all right, we'll stop. So there you go. But yeah, I'm a streamer, and I was able to tell someone at the party I'm a streamer. That was brilliant. I know, yeah, they weren't going to... They were threatening, they were being mean, and they are the people, the government, the Department of Work and Pensions, so you don't have a choice. What they say is what happens, and they're like, they've got a journal. I mean, this is, I'll tell you what, thank God we've got this internet these days, because if it had just been through the office, I'd have been stranded. But because we've got on the internet, like a journal, like a register, I had this thing that said, Scott stopped caring, reported by Scott on date, and I was able to say, look, I chuffing did. I'm not trying to rip you off. I'm not trying to take something that's not. In fact, I got less because I was a carer than I would have. Can you, not trying to work and giving up. I'm going to get a little bit upset, but I'm not going to. Going through that year of COVID, having Nan here, it was the most important thing that I could have done. And it was great that they gave me a little bit of help with the caring money. But really, £60 a week is not a lot to live on if you're caring full time for somebody. And good that we couldn't go out. I was lucky in that aspect. But I didn't earn any money, and I just stayed home and cared for my Nan. So my mum was doing a lot of heavy lifting as well. And there weren't 2 carers allowances for my mum as well. It was just hard work, it was just heavy. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I did it. Tap the microphone by mistake, sorry. I made the right choice. Doesn't matter about the money. Doesn't matter about giving up opportunities to work. Doesn't matter about not being able to push things forward in my life. It was the right choice. I made the right choice. I'm happy with it. So I'm not complaining about it. I'm happy with it. But yeah, it all caused me a lot of problems financially by the government and their work departments. It caused me a lot of problems. So yeah, back to the old web browser. I was able to tell someone I'm a streamer. I officially am. Here we are doing it. This is Dr. Laura Van Harmelen and Professor Tamsin Ford. It's wonderful, isn't it, that they're women and they're doctors and they're like leading this conversation. So we are living in the future. Things have changed, haven't they? Equality in that aspect at least has changed. We could push for more, sure, but we're getting somewhere. They recognise the global crisis, boosting resilience. They've done research. Our research, I could click it there, little button. I'll copy this one for you into the old thing, paste. There we go. We will look at this when we talk about resilience in a full episode, I think. But we're going to promote understanding of mental health. It's these things we talked about earlier, supporting people as they cope, giving them the skills to facilitate good interactions, understanding mental health. Journaling helps, so that's important. They've discovered that journaling helps, writing things down, talking about them regularly, looking over your feelings. Journaling helps, and external factors affect it. So we're on the way. That's a good way, isn't it? Good way to finish on. And I did look. I copied and pasted, and I'll tell you what. When we turned on internet today, and I opened all the windows and got it all going, and I didn't. Oh, chuffing! Where's my thing? Where's my chat? And I've chuffed that and that. At least I got that going. pow, schools and youth groups, parents and carers, get involved. This is a group, and it's one of these things that society is having to pick up the pieces. Children's mental health, place to be, donate to them. They've got to, don't donate to them, donate to me. I'm supporting them by sharing the information, and we're going to be talking about it. But they've also got a lot more money than me. No, obviously you can donate to the charity. I'm not going to, I was only joking there. I was only joking. But there's some good things happening, thank God. And donate your times if you like the funds. That's true, and we spoke right at the start of the thing about this, about how in my life, when I meet young people through my life, because my friends have kids and, you meet them, I give them respect. Be respectful, talk to them about things on a one-to-one, level. Not like, oh, what, are you enjoying that meme, that chuffing meme, are you winning, son? Not understand, patronising kids about, oh, is it Fortnite? Is it, no, I've played Fortnite. I understand the stresses of just that. Even that, it's stressful in itself. What about if you're not the good one at Fortnite? What about if you let your squad down and your mates and, I remember being young and at school, and it was a big deal when one of my mates was more friendly with another mate and didn't have so much time for me. That made me feel things. We talked about serious issues. Things in perspective are serious. Belly's rumbling again. I apologise. Things in perspective can be really serious to kids. It might just be getting shouted at. It might seem like something to an adult, might not be. And then as you grow up, other things get serious and you don't perceive it in the same way as the young people do. I don't know. We talked about all that. In the US, you can be a big brother or sister and advocate for foster children. So if you're in America, there you go. Oh, look, Capital K. Yeah, donate to Capital K, and then he'll donate to... We'll do it in a big circle. We'll just donate money around in a big circle. And do you know what? If that could actually work as a system, if the government, who've got all that lovely money, loads of it, and those big billionaires and Bezos and all that, they're all money going right. If they just said, chuff it, we'll give everyone £100 a week or £200 a week, or maybe £5, whatever. It's not going to bring the government down. It's not going to ruin things. Trust me. It would just make everyone's stress a little less, wouldn't it? Just make everything a little easier. And they'll go, oh, inflation, oh, this and that. The banks are doing it. The banks have got all that money, chuffling away, totaling up billions. What are they doing with it? Why have they got billions and billions in there? Why are these businesses making all these profits? I'm going to rant for the final 5 minutes, I think. These businesses weren't able to survive the COVID, were they, without government bailouts? They weren't even available to survive the stock market crash and the bubble. The chuffing economy crashes all the time. These businesses are not saving up their money for the dark times. They're spending it on stupid stuff and wasting it and lobbying and all sorts. These people are living in stupid luxury while other people are living in stupid poverty. It's just silly, just silly. Redeemed highlighted message. Okay. I don't know what that means. Yeah, Ponzi scheme. We'll do that. We'll make a trickle-down effect. But actually, it should be at the top. I don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, really. I think it's a pyramid scheme. But we want to invert the pyramid. That's what we want. Invert pyramid. Maybe I want the people with the money at the top the money to flow down, not us to pay up. That's it. That's the problem. We've nailed it. Good. I'm glad that you did that chat comment, because it's made me realise, instead of us all paying up the system like a Ponzi scheme, that's kind of how it is at the moment. You struggle in your job to pay your bills, to pay your taxes, to pay your rent, to pay for your thing. Instead of that, it should go the other way. The big companies that have made all this money over all this time, they should have been like, oh, well, now we can give you the food for free. Don't worry about that. We'll pay you to eat it. They can afford it. We need to make it run the other way. Yeah, they need a new yacht to go in the big yacht, to go on top of the super yacht that can be carried by the super yacht carrying aeroplane that can jet you off to Mars. Like literally send it off to Mars, but get all that money and burn it off to Mars. But yeah, this has been Mental Health Monday. I'm not going to destroy my own mental health by reviewing any further things that make me cross. This is the channel. It's got its own channel now. A great supporter of True Binaural was not aware Nathan was not aware that we'd done our own channel. It's my fault for not doing a whisper video like I said I was going to in this space, in this room, and getting it set up and getting the mics in the dummy head and feeling the vibe and getting the flow with the texture. This is not a tester. We're the best of London to Manchester. Who come to get your hyper? That's MC Fearless that I was just quoting there. MC Fearless. Who have come to get your hyper? Scratch that on the freezer. The bloke upset the Mona Lisa. Geezer. Yeah, so, you know, we're going to do our little bit, aren't we? We're doing our little bit. There's the Mental Health Monday. It's got its own channel. It's got its own YouTube channel, so you can look at it. And yeah, we've covered another subject today. We've covered mental health in schools. We've seen that resilience can be taught. We've seen that there are people at the cutting edge. I don't care about your cookies. Chuff off your cookies. We've seen there are people at the cutting edge who are doing the research. Their voices are not really being heard. The legislation is not even being bothered to be talked about in the government. We need another agency to support, like a permanent agency, a mental health support facility that runs along schools, that runs programs, that engages with these things. And we need it urgently. And the government aren't doing much about it, but we think that there could be. I mean, Epic Games have probably made enough money. Probably. I mean, I'm just guessing. And maybe I'm not pointing at them as the only people that do, you know, it doesn't have to be them, but, you know, they probably made enough money to pay for a few of these, you know, people to go into schools and do some good work, haven't they? They could even be dressed as Mr. Fortnite Man, couldn't they? So yeah, we've seen the problems. We know how to sort of fix them. We're going to do something about it here. It's made me think, personally, I know that if I write to Epic, they're not going to respond with, yay, thanks. But it's made me think that as a group, maybe, the camera is literally going to die, and this is my final point. As a group, maybe we on Twitch, I think it's really great that there have been some movements like the gaming, speedrunning, Games Done Quick does a lot for charity. Maybe we can talk about these things more. Maybe people are talking about them more. I certainly am. You certainly are. We're doing the work. We're going to do our best together. And, you know, maybe we can build a bit of a movement that can help young people. Specifically because we know they're not being helped. Maybe we can reach out a little hand to, you know, pull some people up and prevent a few suicides. A few sounds silly, doesn't it? A few. There's hundreds. But if we can prevent any, that's good. So you be good, my little podcast. You be good. I'm going to be back with more nonsense this week. Fingers crossed. They're getting the roof on over there, so they can't do any more noise. And yeah, I really value our time together. I value you and your support more than you know. So I know people say these things, you know, it's now cliche, isn't it, to be like, oh, you know, thanks to all my supporters and all that. But, you know, I don't have a vast plethora of people throwing money at me for doing silly things. I've got a core group of really caring people who see, you know, I know I've talked to you now, haven't I? I've talked to you, who see the world in a similar way to me and want to do something to make it better. So I value that more than if I had 100,000 screaming gibberless, you know, throwing me silly money for doing something silly. So I really do value that. So yeah, you be good. Yeah, yet, God, yeah, bring on the screaming gibberless. You be good. You have been good. If you can't be good, you're naughty.